to be talking about the infra dimensions, our psychological infra dimensions. We're going to see each one of them. What defects do we find there? Why is it so urgent in this path to eliminate them? And also, how are the 7 first spheres related to the 7 rays of creation? So let's start with the first one, that is the moon. Okay, so here in this infra dimension of the moon, we see that there are 2 parts. Okay, there's like the outer part, the one that we can see, and there's the inner part, that's the defects that we don't see. So for example, the defects that I see, that outer part of me, it's what I can say yes I am. Okay, so for example, yes, I know I'm lazy, I don't like to get up early, I don't like cooking, I don't like washing dishes. Okay, that makes me lazy, and I say I accept it. Okay, I accept that sometimes I'm moody, I accept that I like to spend money, but okay, but there's another part of me that I don't see. So for example, sometimes, a friend tells us that, my friend said that he thought that you were like snotty, conceited, and you're like, he said that? Because I do not perceive it. Okay, people may say, I think the person is rude, and, right? Because that's the part that we don't see. So it's like an iceberg. We see this first part. Okay, but this big inner part where it's like these monsters inside us, we don't see them. Okay, we see them sometimes like when we really get upset and we explode, and then we're like, oh my god, what did I do? That wasn't me. That's when that really big monster came out. Okay, so we don't know when it's going to come out. We could see, without exaggerating, how many people are in jail. Okay, because it was a moment that they were drinking and that monster came out, because I didn't know how jealous I was, and this person just made me feel so jealous, and everything just happened and I lost control. Okay, in a moment of something unexpected, okay, something of life or death, you don't know how you're going to react. So that's when this part that I don't see comes out. Okay, so that's called the inner moon. So little by little, I'm going to start working on the defects that I can see. So when I start taking them out, when I start eliminating this first part, I'm going to be able to continue going down and seeing these. Okay, so this sphere of the moon also shows us that the big defect that it's here, it's laziness. Okay, definitely it's like the mother of all defects. Okay, so it's like the one that is really hard, and if we see, we will find that we are lazy in different aspects. Okay, some people may say, no, but I'm very active, I get up early, I go to the gym, I do this, I do that. But what about to read a book? What about to hand in a paper? Okay, what about to go make a line because you have to get your social security number for something? Okay, and you're like, oh, no, I'll do that tomorrow. Oh no, next week, and we postpone it. Okay, so everybody's laziness is different, but it's always there. But here we're going to be talking about mostly what these conferences are about. It's about learning to use our sexual energy wisely. Okay, the main objective for us is to create those inner bodies, to regenerate this physical body. In the next conference, we will be talking about each one of those inner bodies. Okay, so in order to do that, I need to do the super sex practice, which means have sex without getting to the orgasm or the ejaculation. We will see that in the next conference. So this sphere it's not going to let me do that work, okay? Because it's going to send me some thoughts as, it's too late. I don't think you have enough energy for that. The person you're with, that he's not the kind of person that, wants to walk this path, this spiritual thing later on. Okay. What if we sleep first? We should put the alarm clock. We get up really early and do this practice. We will have more energy. So a bunch of justifications are going to be in our mind because of this infra dimension. How is this infra dimension related with the first ray of creation, which the name is the ray of creation? We saw that in that ray, it's the ray that it's of the moon, and that it moves, it rules the waters. Okay, so our body is water, and the waters that we need to ascend is our sexual energy. Okay, so that's why this one is going to go like so hard on it, because it's the opposite. So it's going to be there like, no, you're not creating. Okay, so that's the relationship between that ray and this first sphere. The second one, it's the infra dimension of Mercury. Okay, here we find that it's everything about fornication, orgasms, and ejaculations. Okay, so here it's going to be always with the need of spilling that seed. Okay, our seminal waters. So here we must understand that our conscious is asleep. So we live every day, and we don't pay attention to the little details. Okay, things happen and we just think they're coincidence. Okay, so for example, all of a sudden this new person arrives to wherever you work or where you study, and you just like this person so much, and there's just such an attraction, and you're like, oh my god, I never felt this for someone. Or even worse, you say, you know what, I'm married, and I've never felt this before, and this just can't be. But still, you go to work, and you're like waiting for this person to arrive, and there's something that goes inside, but you just can't explain it, because we were with this person in a life before. So here what we have is a recurrence. So we meet again with the people that we have had sex in lives before. So that's why when we meet again, there is such an attraction. There is something in that person's eyes that we're like, I know you, or I just trust you, and I just want to be with you. Okay, and it's a recurrence, so it's made to be done for it to happen. So I must have my objective very clear and know that I'm here to have a stable relationship, because I need to have a stable relationship to create these inner bodies. Okay, so I start looking at these details every time I meet someone and I feel that attraction. I know that, wait, probably I met this person before, and that's why I'm always looking at my dreams, because they're going to be telling me things. Okay, or I can research and I can ask my own soul, like, who's this guy, have I met him before? And we will be getting our own answers. So everything is made for us to be fornicating. Okay, here's also another thing, that it's always three kinds of, let me see if I have it, three types of fornication, which is the physical, the emotional, and the psychological. Okay, so the physical, well, obviously is having the orgasm and the ejaculation, but what's going to happen before that, it's that I don't have control over my emotions. Okay, so like, I need to take that energy out. Okay, so people just masturbate. Okay, we don't reflect. Okay, we don't know what to do with our sexual energy, okay? We don't know that we could sublimate if we are, my God, what an easy word. If we're single, uh, that's what I can do with my sexual energy if I don't have a partner, okay? It's also something psychological that it's always there and I don't see it. For example, people say something, but I have to put, my mind is dirty, so my mind transforms what the person said. I see two oranges and a banana and I'm already imagining something else. So everything is in my mind. So I have to be paying attention always to those thoughts, to those emotions, because those are the ones that are going to make me get into that physical fornication. Okay? Let's see the next one. Oh, I haven't said. So, what's the relationship here with the second rate? That it's the array of medicine. With that array of medicine, all our waters, my sexual energy, it's my vital energy. That's what keeps me strong. Okay, so what fornication does is that it gets me weaker. Okay, physical body gets weaker, the mind gets weaker. Okay, and it's already been proved. Okay, so that's the relationship. So if I take my sexual energy, I'm going to be a stronger person, a healthier person, and my mind, because it is real, you're going to start improving your memory. Okay, if you have headaches, you're going to notice how those headaches are going to go away. So let's see the third one. In the third infra dimension here, it's related with the sphere of Venus. Venus is all the pleasures and the desires. So here we're going to find that in every center of where we have our energy, there in the picture you see do, re, mi, fa, sol. Okay, so that's each one of our energetic centers. So let's begin from down. In though, the pleasures and the desires that I find there is obviously to fornicate, okay? It's the pleasure of having an orgasm, okay? It's the desire of ejaculating. In the second one, I'm going to find that it's my instinct. So all of those instinctively things that give me pleasure. For example, driving is something that you do with your instinct because you don't think, it's something mechanical. Riding a bicycle, when somebody scares you, that feeling, that instinct, that cold thing inside us, at the beginning it's like it gets you upset, but then it makes you laugh because it's just a very it's a pleasure, very specific from that point. Okay. Then we have in me, we are going to find all of our emotions. So here in our emotions, we're going to see that, for example, for us women, crying is something that gives us pleasure because it's like, we get rid of that feeling of whatever it was, it just makes us feel lighter. Yeah, it makes us feel better. So there is pleasure there. Okay, there is pleasure of any kind of drugs or alcohol, a cigarette that makes us want it. Okay, and gives us that pleasure. If we keep going up in the intellectual center, we're going to find here is the pleasure of imagining things. We meet someone and we're already imagining there like our first date, and so it gives us that pleasure. Okay, also remembering gives us pleasure. When I remember when I was a child and I used to go here and there. I remember my graduation. I remember this and that. So it gives us so much pleasure. Also planning our vacation. I mean, it's awesome, right? To start taking our bathing suit. Oh, I need to buy new shoes and I need this and I'm gonna take this and my makeup and everything. So it gives us pleasure. Then here in the motor center, we find the things of doing. So doing exercise, watching TV, um, any art craft, okay, any kind of art gives us that pleasure, okay. So there we notice how um, we keep feeding those desires, and that's why they keep asking for more. So if I become the owner of that desire, okay, which means no, you obey to me. No, we're not smoking anymore. I mean, that's it. We're going to see how I'm going to become stronger and the defect is going to become weaker. But if I keep giving up and just the last one, okay, just the last one, okay, and then it's been like 2 weeks and oh, here I go again, and then it was like 2 months and oh man, so I'm giving that defect the power, okay. So if I don't do it, okay, I'm the one who is obtaining the power and I'm the one who's becoming stronger. So every time I must be observing myself, and when I see one of these defects, I ask my conscious, I ask my divine mother to eliminate that way of being. In this third infra dimension, how is it related with the third ray of creation? The third ray is art and love. So here we see that definitely art is creating, right? And when I'm here, I'm giving my power to these defects, I am not creating anything, right? I am losing. It's like if that defect was taking away my brush. Okay, so let's say I'm painting, but that defect, that eye, has power over me. So it takes my brush and it draws whatever it wants, right? Because I do whatever it says. But if I'm the one who has the power, I'm the one who's going to be creating. Okay. Also, Venus is of love. Okay. And any action that goes against me, against my will, is against love. And when I go against other people to satisfy my pleasures, my desires, well, I'm going also against the first rule, that is the rule of love. Let's see now the fourth one. The fourth infra dimension, here we go. The fourth infra dimension is the sphere of the sun. Here we find what's the equilibrium, okay? That's what it should be. So actually it is the opposite. Here I find two ways of being, okay, that doesn't let me have that equilibrium, doesn't let me have the balance, okay. So one is a way of being that just spends and spends, okay, and the other way of being, it's the one who just is the opposite, who doesn't spend, just who keeps everything, and it's like all cheap, okay. So how is this? For example, the sexual energy. With our sexual energy, we have that defect that in fornication, it just keeps and keeps and keeps wasting the richness of the body, okay. But in the other hand, I have the other defect that doesn't want to use this richness, who doesn't want to do the super sex practice, who doesn't want to sublimate, who doesn't want to look for a couple, who doesn't want to know nothing about love. So it just doesn't let me use it, okay. In this fourth infra dimension, we find that the fourth ray of creation is justice, okay. And injustice is, if I want to rule and govern, I must have an equilibrium, right? I can't just be giving everybody, nobody's going to work, I'm here, I'm the king, and you know, every month I'm going to give everybody their payment and you guys don't have to work, right? It's not going to be something good for the city. But what if I'm greedy? Okay, and I just say, I don't care if you're an architect, if you're a teacher, if you're a secretary, whatever job you do, if you're a lifeguard, everybody's going to get the minimum wage. Okay, and it's actually very little, and that's it. So I cannot rule that way. Okay, so anyways, in any of those ways, I'm going to become a beggar. Okay, because a person who gives and gives and gives, one day the person it's not going to have, and he has to beg. And a person who gives and gives and gives anyways begs to have more, to keep just making a party with it, right? But also, in the other hands, the ones that don't share also beg because they're greedy and they want more, and they don't care if they have to cry and beg and lie, So, anyways, are two defects that are beggars. In the fifth infra dimension, we're going to see that it's from Mars. This one here, this sphere is the one of anger. Okay, this is the one that gets us upset. This is the one that steals the energy from the sphere before, because if you're a thief, you see that if somebody is stingy and they save and they save and they save, I know he's got money. But if in the other hand, I also see the other person who just gives and gives, like, well, this guy has a lot of money too, right? So who am I going to steal? Both. They both got. So the defects from this sphere are of violence, all type of violence. So for example, I'm saving my energy, I meditate, I try to always be here and now. Whatever people tell me, I'm not going to identify myself with it. But I see something that really gets me upset, so I definitely forget about myself and I've had it. That's it. And I explode. Well, what that defect did was take all of that energy that I had been saving, and it takes it for himself. So the relationship that we see here is that this infra dimension, it's related with that fifth ray, because the fifth ray of creation is war. Okay, so everything that has to do with war, here we see that it's with violence. But at the end, as you guys could see in the image, um, the persons that have the weapons there are our defects, right? And they just keep hitting on us to make us bleed inside. And then when we see what we have done, we're like that person there, we're like, what did I do? I destroyed my marriage, you know. I hit my kids so hard. I'm so sorry. I mean, I didn't really want to be like that. Look at the way I left them. Look how now he's crying in his room. Oh my God, it was a moment of anger, and I just got up from my desk and I said, you know what? Well, then I'm leaving. And I took all my stuff and I lost my job. What am I going to do? I just can't control myself. And look all how I told off my sister, what I told to my mother, and it meant so there. And when the person dies, obviously we have that face, like, we remember all that violence inside, that's those monsters of impatience, of anger, of violence, who like to throw things, also who are ironic, because just being ironic, though isn't a direct violence, it hits that other person right where we want it, right? So we see how destructive this infra dimension is. The sixth one is the sphere of Jupiter. So here we find that Jupiter is the father of all gods in the planet system, right? So as a father, he's not greedy. He wants to give to all his sons. But what happens when you have a lot, okay? What happens when you have a company and you're the owner and you're making money, right? You people become, I don't know how to say the word, but it's with tyranny, okay? They're not nice anymore, okay? You have to obey me, and they pressure you, and if not, I'm going to fire you. And here you do what I say, and if you don't like it, well then, you know. So here we see how tyranny goes against what is love, okay? Everything that it's against love goes here in this infra dimension. Here we find everything that has to be with money, okay, with the recession, okay, and the shortages, okay. So here we see that we attack everything. We just don't let it, we don't let it be, okay. So we either spend too much or spend too little, but we just don't let nothing be because we're there forcing it. So that makes us go against the fountain, okay. That makes us go against the will, makes us go against destiny. We don't let things be how they were supposed to be. How is the sphere of Jupiter related with the ray, the sixth ray, okay? The sixth ray, it's the ray of economy and politics, okay? So here we see how politics are nowadays, okay? We see that definitely and unfortunately they are the ones who put tyranny over the cities, you know, where we have to obey some rules which they do not obey. How they can have access to money, but we have to pay the incomes, okay? But they don't have to pay for that, okay? They always look for the way that they're the ones who are going to win and the others are going to lose, okay? So that's how this infra dimension always works. Now let's see the seventh infra dimension. The seventh infra dimension, it's of Saturn. Here we're going to find everything that goes against nature, okay? Everything that goes against the Holy Spirit. So everything that goes against nature starts with our own selves, okay? So here we see, and it's really nice, this seventh infra dimension is related with the pineal gland. So that pineal gland, every day, you know, it sends to our sexual organs serotonin, and that makes our sexual glands work. What's going to make, what gives them, it's the material to transmutate it, okay, to make it become even more powerful, because that's what makes the kundalini rising. So when that happens, we take that energy back up. That's why there is no orgasm or ejaculation. We send through our spinal cord that same energy back, but transmutated, in order for it to expand our memory, to awaken our conscious, and to create. So when we have any infrasexual practice, that means having an orgasm or ejaculation, or not a well done practice, we're going against this we're in this infra dimension, we're going against nature. So for example, what practices aren't well, and not because it's something about concepts, no, the mouth was not made for that, okay? Anal sex, that part of the body was not made for that. So we're going against nature, okay? But here we need a lot of reflection, okay? So the same way we go against our body, we go against Mother Earth, and we see how much pollution there is. We see how the waters are, the air. We see what we do, the violence that we have against all the animals. Okay, how unfair we are with those with our little brothers. So everything that goes against it is in this seventh infra dimension. How is this one related to the seventh ray of creation? The seventh ray of creation is death, and it's related with everything, obviously, that it's about death, but also about agriculture, about seeds. And here we could see how when we put seeds that are not the natural seeds, we see that after the fifth time that they take out the harvest, that ground is completely dead. Okay, that ray is also related with mining, and we see where there are mines, they take out emeralds, any stones, and we start gold, for example, and we see how much death there is around that city, around that place, because it's because of that same ray. We're going against nature, and that ray puts that karma to that place. Okay, the eighth one we have is the eighth infra dimension. It's the one of Uranus. So here we have everything that is fake, okay, the lies, everything that is not true, everything that goes against whatever it is real. And the only real thing that we have is our being. So every time, for example, we gossip about someone, we are going against the being, the spirit of that person, because whatever we're saying, since it's a gossip, it is not true. It's something that it is not real. When we betray someone, when we promise, I'll love you forever, I'm going to be with you forever, and after that night one stand, that's it, I forgot about my promise. Everything goes here in this sphere, okay, everything that goes against the Holy Spirit. So here we have the power of the word, okay. That's why masters are always telling us, that it's the creation, that whatever we say, we're creating, and that we have to be careful with our creations, so they can become negative, and it's because of this sphere. In the ninth one, we have Neptune. So here we see that it's all the traitors, all of the defects, all of the spheres that we saw, all the defects that we find in this sphere, they are all traitors, because they betrayed us, okay? They betrayed our conscience. They made us do things that we didn't want to do, For example, something as easy as we all want to be healthy, right? And we all would love to have an equilibrium eating. And I would love to, to be able to stop. But I see a big piece of chocolate cake, and though I'm full, but still, I'm in that restaurant, and it's right there, and it's like calling me, like, eat me. And okay, I'll have a piece. I have to have a piece. That looks so good. So I am betraying myself. Okay, it doesn't matter because I did it once, right? Okay, that one time doesn't matter, but in a lifetime, how many times haven't I fed myself well? And then that's when the diseases come, right? And you say, oh my God, I'm having problems with my heart, my pressure, my sugar, and all of these things, because I betrayed my own self. I didn't take care of this body that is landed, okay? This body is not mine. It was given to me to to do my mission. Okay, there's a goal, there is an objective of why I'm here in this existence. So since I forgot about that, and I identify myself with all what I saw in these different infra dimensions, then I betray my own self. So all of them are traitors, okay, because they start as desire. Okay, so as a desire, I have it there, and it's the emotion, like smoking, you know, I have the desire of that cigarette. Okay, and then my mind starts working and tells me, oh, the last one, just the last one, and that's it. And then goes the bad will, you know, I just take it out and do it, and then I say, oh man, I did it again. So that's how the traders work. So all of these defects are going to always end up in that last infra dimension. So here we find and we learn that definitely it is better for us to eliminate all the defects consciously, you know, to start always observing ourselves, start reflecting on each one of these fears, seeing every time we have a problem or wrong way of being, how is it being related to each of these infra dimensions. Start taking out more wisdom from there, and always be asking my conscious to eliminate that way of being, eliminate that way of being, and we're going to see how we can eliminate these wrong ways of being. So definitely we won't have to pass through these infra dimensions, and we could consciously eliminate those defects. Guys, the next conference is about the 7 bodies. As I told you at the beginning, we're going to be talking about each one of these bodies, what kind of what's their texture, what kind of energy do they use, what are they for, how do we create them. Okay, so guys, see you next Thursday at this same time. Bye.